some work there, and right now I'm really interested in reading research. And one is kind of more the analog case. So if you read magazines, newspapers, or so on during your everyday life, and the other thing is kind of the digital workspace. So using commodity mobile devices and so on. And I think looking at how we do reading currently on these devices can be improved by quite a lot. So who am I? As I said, my name is Kai. I'm currently working at Osaka Prefecture University, so just down in Sakai. And I have a general love for gadgets, science, or tech. And as already mentioned previously, I worked in pervasive, wearable, or ubiquitous computing, whatever you might want to call it, and especially in activity recognition. I'll give you a small example. A sample application just after this intro. And now I'm more interested in human-computer interaction and also crowd sensing. So beforehand, as I said, so what do we mean with pervasive computing? Maybe people here will already know, but this is now a maintenance worker at SAIS doing his regular task, and what you see here is he has to switch between the manual and the actual work he's doing. And usually in this case, he has a kind of small manual, but usually for these assembly tasks, it can be a 500-page manual, and he really has to read the stuff and then perform the maintenance work. And this is cumbersome. So what you already see today is that more and more people use head-mounted display kind of stuff, but in this case it's nice because you don't have to do this context switch anymore. You can directly look at the head-mounted display and then see what you should be working on, but still you need some kind of button or some kind of interface to change forward, change backward, so you don't forget a step. And this is something we try to get rid of in pervasive computing. So in this case now you have some error encodings on the right side, and the manual is intelligent, so you kind of try to figure out what the worker is doing on the machine. And in this case, a cabling error happened, and it informs you that something went wrong in the machine, so you should fix the cabling error. As soon as you fix it, the display goes back to the normal state. And also, stepwise or so on, the system, the computing should recognize what you're doing in the machine to kind of help you with the steps. So I was mostly working with motion sensors, and how we want to achieve this kind of application is we want to use sensors first of all. Why is the movie not playing? First of all, sensors in the environment. So what we tend to do in my old lab in Germany is we kind of plug in accelerometer sensors or switches or stuff like that to anything we can think of. So from milk to water bottle to whatever. Or also on body sensing, so kind of augmenting a person and then recording either the maintenance task or also in this case the morning routine, so kind of making a sandwich or so on. And then we'll try to kind of interpret these data and try to figure out what the person is doing to then later on implement a system that can help recognize that you maybe forgot a step or forgot something. And so this was more or less, I was working in this space for my PhD work, and now I got more and more interested in a specific activity, and that's reading. And I wondered, I'm also one of these people that has a Fitbit with him, so, and I'm getting into, if I get it out, yeah, so, these small devices with you that kind of track your daily activities and so on, or a CEO sleeping coach, or the Withings, scale that helps you, kind of control your physical life and improve your physical life. And I wondered, can we, do something similar for our knowledge life, for our mental life? So, kind of, how can we improve people's learning speed or general knowledge? Is there a way to assess knowledge or expertise in a way that's unobtrusive, that you can just carry around with, and it tells you, maybe at the end of the day, oh, by the way, you gained this much knowledge or this much expertise in this field, or just also at the beginning, maybe just give us some quantitative measures on how good we're doing. So I read some couple of cognitive science literature, and it seems that reading, so just the amount of reading is not only related to your language skills, but also to your general knowledge. So they did some tests with high school students, and seemingly even if they just read, novels or science fiction novels or other stuff, people that read more during the day would also know more. So one of these ideas then kind of spawned this first application we did. So we use an SMI eye tracker. It's kind of an expensive device, but what it actually has is just two infrared type cameras that take pictures of your eyes. And with this, if you do some calibration up front, you can figure out where a person is looking in the environment. So, and in this case, you see one of our students reading a text, and if you do some magic, you can get the fixations and the saccades overlaid on the text. And then the first thing we did there was kind of implement a wordometer. So it measures how much you read. Just by, in this case, just by looking at line breaks. So we recognize, we don't even need the single words or need to recognize the single words or so on while you're reading, but we just recognize one line break. That's relatively easy because you always have a long saccade against the usual reading flow, and then you can just take either an average, so you just say around 10 words or 7 words per line, and if you let people read a larger portion of text, you can get kind of an error rate from 6 to 10%, depending on the experiment. That's interesting because that's kind of also the error rate you have with the pedometer stuff. So, and you can argue that pedometer already helps you, or Fitbit can also help you to lose weight and so on. There are studies that show that, and I wonder, what devices like this will do to your, mental life. So, can you tell that you got more intelligent or got more expertise just by using this. But this is kind of stuff I want to give into people's hands. So I would be really interested if people here have also background in electronics or so on to build a system like that and really try it out, because the problem with the SMI eye tracker is, of course, you always need a USB connection, and also the other part is, as I said, it's quite expensive. Another fun thing you can do, just looking at eye gaze. So this is also recorded with the same device, and we just recorded different document types. So manga versus textbook versus a magazine versus a novel versus newspaper, and you can easily distinguish them just by the visual patterns of the users. So not only you can get a word count for how many words you read a day, but it can also tell you okay, you read 50% manga, 10% science paper, and some magazines maybe. That's one thing. And then the more difficult thing I like to tackle is how do we do the reading? So just by looking at eye gaze or other sensing modalities, so there might be also capacitive sensors or other stuff we might want to use for this. Can we figure out how much a person understands from the text or from the thing they're looking at? And in this case, we did some reading comprehension tests, having people read, kind of standard tests like TOEIC or TOEFL text with the eye tracker, and 30 minutes of reading and then answering some questions afterwards, 4 to 6 questions. And they should also mark the difficult words they didn't understand in the text. And interestingly, we could detect all difficult words just by looking at the eye gaze. And we could also just infer the number of correct answers just by looking at the eye gaze, with an error of 1.5 answers. So it's not that good at the moment. What we are currently trying to do is we also have the TOEIC score of the students, and so we're currently trying to figure out if we can kind of figure out a TOEIC score just by looking at the eye gaze. So next time you do a standardized test, maybe you don't need to answer questions anymore. They just give you a sheet of paper and tell you, oh, please read it, and we can tell you how good your expertise in English is. Yeah, we're not there yet.
Isn't that a game though? Someone just learns how to write.
I think that's difficult. Because, we're talking about I mean, for the maybe for the optical eye tracker it might work because the resolution is not so good. You have 30 hertz. That means that any saccade that's lower than 33 milliseconds you cannot detect. And you know, sometimes if you have a really quick reader, he'll have a faster eye movement. We're currently trying to get a stationary eye tracker that does a better job in that. But with this, I don't think that you can gain the system because movement is, you know, very, you know, the saccades are very, very quick. So you have to train somehow. I'm not sure if you can train this.
Couldn't you focus on just running your eyes over
around
the
the
words
text.
without
Could be
thinking comprehension?
Definitely try. But the problem is, if you have somebody who understands the text, they will focus. For example, they won't focus. So a lot of people don't read native speakers. I saw this by doing tests with Japanese and native English speakers. And native English speakers won't focus or fixate on the or some of the fill words. Mm-hmm. So what you need to learn is for any language on how to focus on important words. So you really need to know the context for some text. Otherwise, the system cannot be fooled.
But well, it would pick up if someone was trying to do that because it would be an unnatural.
Yeah, I mean, you can train on a specific text. If you have the text up front, I think you can train it. Otherwise, it's maybe difficult. So very quick, I just want to show you how to get the difficult word. So if you have the eye gaze, I gloss over this detail because it's computer vision and this is some stuff people from my lab do and do much better than I do. But one of the problems with the mobile eye tracker is that usually you don't get this nice fixations and saccades out. What you get is something all over the place. But what we do in the lab is kind of use document image retrieval and other techniques to align the eye gaze to the specific text. So in this case, you need to know the text up front, and you can kind of use the eye gaze. The mobile eye tracker has a camera with it, and you can use the scene camera to kind of correct the eye gaze. After you did this, you kind of map the eye gaze or the fixations into one line, and just by looking at the histogram, in this case mortgages was a difficult word, so just by looking at the histogram of the fixations, it's relatively easy to spot the difficult words. So this is kind of an easy way to detect with which words user has problems with it. And a student in the lab is now using the eye tracker with head-mounted display to just give you definitions for difficult words you have while reading, things like that. And then now I'm coming actually to the part why I'm here. So the last hackathon from the Hacker News Meetup, we started a small application because we don't really just want to support people that have just eye trackers with them because they're usually still quite expensive and so on. So we thought we can also write a small application. So this is in early stages or so on that kind of changes your reading life. In this case, these are articles from Readability. So you can just import articles from Readability, and what we want to do is we want to build a small speed reading application that does something a little bit more intelligent or so on than other speed reading applications. But in this stage it's relatively basic, so you can look at the articles and maybe no, it doesn't work. Okay, sorry. And it just flashes you the words. But a student of mine, and what we actually want to do is we want to give you a little bit more insight or reading life. So maybe the number of articles you read during a month, or the type of article categories you read, science versus economy or culture, and also then reading speed. So trying to assess the reading speed on a mobile tablet. and comparing you to your friends maybe on Facebook or Twitter or so on, telling you some stats about Shoya already read or Raphael already read 50 more manga magazines than I did this month or stuff like that, but that's kind of the start for it. I have a little gimmicky thing included here, so I can. This is actually not eye gaze, but this looks at my head movement and just scrolls. But of course, we also want to include eye gaze information, or we'll try to do eye gaze on an unmodified tablet. Of course, it won't work as well as the dedicated devices, but I'll guess that it's good enough to detect reading versus not reading, because that's kind of a simple thing. And maybe we can get also some information about the knowledge of the user or other things out. I'm not sure really where to go from here, but that more or less brings me to the end of the presentation. So I'm really interested in how you think one can assess text comprehension in general, but also especially if you distribute just an app on an app store. And if anybody is interested in becoming an alpha tester for this kind of speed reading application, just send me a mail, best with speed reading in the subject. And I would really like to try out Google Glass. You can maybe think why, because I think a lot of the stuff we implemented, so Wordometer and all the other things, should work. I mean, they have a small camera on one eye. And of course it's not an eye tracker, but what I'm really doing here is just I'm looking for line breaks, and I'm looking for specific patterns for the document image retrieval, for the document analysis. And I think this is possible with Google Glass or similar stuff. So also if you have similar devices or so on, and what I can offer is kind of C or Python code for the stuff we did so far, and hopefully some new gadgets. So we're currently thinking about buying an EEG. We have the mobile eye tracker and maybe also a stationary eye tracker. So yeah, thanks. So if there are now any questions or something.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Has there been any research that kind of looks at the comprehension level and the reading efficiency using different media? So for example, reading on a screen versus reading on printed paper, or for example, using the same media but at different times of the day or after certain activities or something like that. For example, you have somebody who's playing, who's playing like Fallout for 2 hours, and then they stop, and then they try to read text, and does their efficiency drop, or does it?
This is actually the thing I'm really interested in.
Yeah. So has there been any work into that?
So, for example, one thing that got me really excited is some work that is kind of related to not reading but expertise.
Yeah.
So they're music players, and so this was a study done in the 80s or 90s, relatively old, with violinist players. And what they showed was the difference between a teacher level, which is good but not really good, an orchestral violinist who is kind of better, and then a soloist player is just the amount of training they do during the day, not depending on
the 10,000 hours.
This is kind of from the 10,000 hour thing. This is one of the papers that got me interested into this. So I read there are 3 papers around this, and the other part that he doesn't mention in the book is napping.
Oh, really?
People that are experts that are expert violinist players nap more during the day. So I'm wondering about the relation between sleep and rest and these kind of things. And I looked at so most of the cognitive science or psychology. If you have any papers that tackle this, please send them to me, because what I know, most of the cognitive science work or so on tackles this just in lab settings. So you have, kind of a big screen where they read stuff or these kind of things, but I don't know many in situ studies, and that's what I care about. Also, there's a lot of work with dyslexic people or with young children or so on, but I'm really caring about, us normal. I'm not sure if I can be defined. I'm not sure that I can be defined as normal. That's another thing. But kind of regular people, maybe also hackers.
Interesting. Okay.
This, as the mention of napping, is this an official study or something? Or where did you get this study?
This is a paper.
Can
This
you
is a
send me
research.
a copy so I can send it to
Yeah.
my boss?
Yeah, of course, yeah. The problem with this is they did it with questionnaires.
Yeah.
So you're never sure what.
It's actually not the first time I've seen this year. We are going apart from.
I think
Yeah,
in
but it's like,
Spain
yeah, but
they
it's-
give like
No, it's not true. It's not true.
every
it's not
day.
true. No, it's not.
No?
It's just a big meet.
Another urban.
I wish.
Not every day.
It's just the lunchtime is 2 hours. That's it. But no one is going to the beds and
Just 2
sleep.
hours?
I like to-
Yeah, it was.
No, I was going to say, please forward that study to me as well, so I can hand it to my boss.
Just send to everyone.
Yeah, I can send it around.
Actually, I read it somewhere else. That the same thing.
Yeah.
That you should let your workers not.
Well, it's fairly non-controversial as far as common sense goes. You just have to have the paper to back it up. So
Yeah,
you get
that's
somebody But I was at your speed reading app. Does it work on iPhone too?
iPhone, yeah.
iPhone too?
iPhone and so iOS so far.
Is it on the App Store?
Maybe sometime. No, it's not yet.
Ah.
So it's just we'll probably distribute it with test flight. So I mean, the basic functionality is in there, but yeah, we also look for if people have ideas on how to improve it or so on. I mean, we're just computer scientists, so no clue about design. So. Yeah.
One thing I've seen before when I was working on different subjects, a kind of eye tracker that's actually using a fixed screen called, I think, the Mobi eye tracker. And I think it's a German company making it, so you may actually know them somehow. And so the advantage of that is that you can actually, you see exactly where the eye is fixed because the eye tracker is directly on the screen itself.
Mm-hmm.
And since like the text is actually fixed as well, you can exactly know where they're reading.
Yeah.
So it's actually practical if you want to know, I think, what word is difficult. You probably get a good idea of exactly which part is they're focusing on.
Yeah, so for this we currently
Yeah.
we bought or we are in the process of obtaining SMI 250 hertz eye tracker, which is damn expensive, but yeah, we need this for exactly this research.
Yeah.
So if you want to try this stuff out or so on, I have a good reason why you want to visit the lab. You're welcome. I guess it will take 1 or 2 months or so to get it.
About this ice tracker, I read some story. There was one very famous like wall painter, which was disabled. He couldn't move at all. So the guys created like open source project for him, glass, so they can track his eyes movement, so he can start painting again. And it's many times cheaper than this one because this was community open source project.
Yeah, I know. So a student of us actually implemented this for the bachelor project. Problem with it is that the accuracy is. So at least what we got out of it
so
is
maybe need to move a lot besides.
to use it. Or also it depends for the mobile eye tracker. It usually depends also on the person a bit. So blue eyes are worse than darker eyes and stuff like that.